All right. Good morning for those of you on the Pacific time. And if you're joining internationally, I hope it's a great time of the day there as well. My name is Gabe, and today hi Heather. Today we're going to be talking about handling objections. I'm only going to give you about 10 minutes on this, but it's a huge subject. So I'll give people a minute or two before I really get going because I want some of y'all to get to be able to get on. Let's see. Hi, Kindy Lynn. Hi, Cody. Hi, Tina. Hi, Linda. Hi, Anna. Brenda. Elizabeth. So good. Good morning. I'm so glad you ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals are getting on here. It's mostly gals though. So before I get going, just giving people some time to jump on, please feel free to, today we're talking about handling objections. So feel free to, any common objections that you might have or that maybe come up or you think might come up as you do this, go ahead and chat them through because I'd love to be able to talk to those directly. All right. Brenda, you're in Texas. Cool. Nice seeing you too, Elizabeth. All right. All right, let's get going. So, handling objections. This is a big subject. It's one of those scary places in our business for some of us. It's those really awkward moments sometimes. For a lot of us, it's like we think of handling objections a lot of times when we think of closing a sale, right? Oh my gosh, sales. Like, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be pushy, right? That's what comes up for so many of us. I have over 10 years of experience in this profession, and I still deal with this. It's tough, you guys. It is tough, especially when you're compassionate and have a lot of empathy and you really care about people. It's hard because you care about what people think of you oftentimes as well. So we have to. There's a great saying that I aspire to in myself, and that's to do a doTERRA business, you really have to have big, huge heart and really thick skin, right? Because we have to care a lot. We have to have this big heart that we can open for people and hold space for people, but we also have to let things just bounce off of us because, there's so many opinions that you deal with. There's so many people you deal with when you do this. And, the people are going to love you, people are going to hate you, and none of it has anything to do with you, right? It has to do with them. So let's just dive right into this. There are two specific objections that I've been asked to speak about, but if you have any other objections that come up for you when you're doing this business, when you're sharing doTERRA, go ahead and write them in the comments so I can hopefully get to them. But the two that I'm supposed to cover today that I want to share with you is I don't know if you guys have this happen, and you ladies as well have this happen when somebody says, is this a pyramid scheme? Is this one of those things? Right? We hear this sometimes. I still do. So that's one of the ones I'm going to cover today. And the other one that I'm going to look at is Young Living versus doTERRA versus Walmart oils versus Costco oils. What's the difference, right? And that's an objection that can come up a lot of times too. Okay, so before I get too deep into this, before I go specifically to those, I just want to give you some really great tools about objections. Number one, let's talk about communication really quickly. So when you are communicating and talking with somebody, it's really common that we just kind of wait for them to finish what they're saying, and then because we want them to stop moving their mouth so we can say the thing we want to say, right? This is not communication, and we all do it all the time. So we have to listen. And if you are present, listening with somebody, seeking to understand them, you will have such a better time with dealing with objections. In fact, almost any objection that comes up to buying oils, objections to doing the business, almost any objection that comes up, if you can just really seek to try to understand fully what's going on with that person, it will usually just take the objection away and it won't be a problem anymore. So we have to understand, okay? So let's talk about, so that I just wanted to get that out of the way. Make sure you're there to serve and understand people. This is not about your agenda. This is not about your rise to elite, your launch. This is about helping the people that you've invited to the class, helping the people that you've invited to look at the business. So always remember that you'll never go wrong. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give you today. That being said, when somebody says, oh, is this like one of those pyramid scheme type things? I immediately get defensive, right? That's like doTERRA is awesome and they're, they don't understand and I want to defend it, right? So we have to try to fight that urge to defend it and instead try to understand. So I might ask somebody, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a pyramid scheme? What does that mean to you? You know what? Because usually there's a story there. Usually when people are like, oh, is this one of those things? It's probably because they've done one of those things before and they had a bad experience. So if you can draw that out and try to understand where they came from, whether some slick salesperson sold them something that they now don't want anymore or have regret about, we can reassure them that that will never happen in doTERRA because we've got, first of all, great return policy, but even more importantly, we're never trying to push something onto somebody that they don't want. This is all about helping them get what they want. So, but anyways, they don't know that. So when that objection comes up, I just want to hear what the story is, what happened for them. Or maybe they had a cousin or a brother or a mother or somebody that did some, sales thing and it didn't work out so well, right? This stuff happens. The network marketing world has kind of a black eye, so to speak, because there are traditionally in the past some shady businesses out there. And fortunately, we have doTERRA. They are amazing. They stand in such a level of integrity that I've never encountered before. So we can always fall back on that. So when those things come up, just try to understand what's going on with that person. And then you can reassure them however you need to based on what they told you, why and how doTERRA is different. You can show them a co-impact sourcing video so they can understand how our company really cares. You can show them, our return policy, whatever it is that they have coming up, you can go into that with them. So that being said, that's a big topic, comes up a lot. I don't have too much time left, but one other thing about that whole, is this a pyramid scheme? Sometimes when it's appropriate, usually people are asking that, like, oh, is this one of those things? Usually people are asking that when they're looking at the business, but sometimes it comes up when they're looking at buying some of the products. But whatever it might be, I definitely, depending on what happens and what I've uncovered from talking to that person, depending on what they tell me, because I'm always responding to what they're telling me, I may or may not talk a little bit about, what do you mean by a pyramid scheme? Like, do you mean that's like, a business where there's one person at the top and they're making all the money and they have, all the free time and they do the least amount of work and they get paid the most? Because doTERRA is nothing like that. That's more like, I don't know, not to get too political, the federal government in the US, or, any kind of large corporate business, like working for a huge box store in the US, like the CEOs and the owners, they make all the money, they make most of the decisions, they probably work the least, while the people at the bottom, the people stocking the store and doing the cash registers and all that kind of stuff in management, they're making a lot less and they're doing way more of the work, right? So, what's a pyramid scheme? I might go into something like that with them, but it really depends on them because that could be offensive to some people. So, but I do like to show people that doTERRA is actually the opposite. When you start out, there's, it's just you. And at the top, at Diamond and Presidential Diamond and Blue Diamond, at the top of our company, there's unlimited room. And in fact, it's in everybody's best interest for all of us to get there, because it'll help my commission, it'll help your commission. I mean, that's the way things work with doTERRA. So it's really cool that we have that. Okay, last thing before I sign off, let's talk about this. When this objection comes up, well, how is this different than the oils you get in Costco or the oils or Young Living oils, right? So number one, I really personally like to shy away from bad mouthing any other companies out there in the essential oil world. So I'm not going to go ahead and say, well, Young Living oils are awful and they don't have the standards that we have and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go directly into that. I'm just going to say, well, you know how great those oils are, whatever ones they're talking about were, if it was Young Living. Well, you know how great those oils are? doTERRA's even better. And I encourage you to give it a shot and see for yourself, because you will notice the difference. You can put peppermint from Young Living side by side with peppermint from doTERRA with no research publications, with no science behind it, just experiencing them, and you will notice a huge difference, guarantee it. So stand behind that, because the proof's in the pudding, right? So let them have the experience themselves. I don't really want to usually go into too much about all that whole world of our testing and CPTG and all that kind of stuff, unless that's something that they want, because a lot of people aren't ready for that when they're first getting the oils for the first time, right? They just want to see if it works. They want to know, well, how is it different? They don't know what we know, right? They haven't done the education and the research that we've done. They're not connected to doTERRA in the way that you are yet. So just keep it easy and light, and just go ahead and let them know, like, Young Living oils are great. Young Living's done so much to bring essential oils into the mainstream, and doTERRA's even better. Check it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. So that's the direction I like to go with those two objections. But I'm just going to bring it back. Remember, you guys and you ladies and you gals, mostly you gals, right, on this call, remember, you're here to serve the person that's in front of you, and seek to understand them rather than to be understood, right? Seek to understand them, and you won't go wrong. That's the best thing you can do when an objection comes up. Any other objections that might come up, whether it's in your clothes or whatever's happening, a really great way to deal with that, whatever it is to just take that objection away. So if they say, well, these oils seem great. Thank you so much, Gabe, for your presentation. I would buy this, but I just can't afford it right now. And I would go ahead and say, well, I'm just curious, if you had the money, would you still want to get the oils? And they'll probably say, well, of course. And so now that I know that really is the objection, there's so many ways you can help them. They can host a class and get oils for free. They can host a few classes and get a paycheck. They can do a referral program with you. Whatever, there's smaller kits. There are so many ways we can help them, but we have to figure out what it really is. Oftentimes when I take that objection away and I say, oh, so if I understood you right, if you had the money, you would still want to get the oils. A lot of times what people will say, well, it's actually, I need to check with my husband before I make a purchase this large. Or, well, it's really something else. A lot of times you'll go through all these different things, right, before you get down to what it really is. So slow down, smile. You don't need to apologize. You did nothing wrong. It's really easy to want to apologize when an objection comes up. Oh, I don't have the money. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I understand. No, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to apologize. Just be there to hear them. And you'll be able to figure it out. There's so many ways we can help people. There's so many different incentives. There's promos all the time in doTERRA. So if we can really understand where people are coming from and what really is the objection, then we can work much more effectively at helping them overcome that objection if that's the right thing for them. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you all so much for being on. I'm so excited with what's happening right now in doTERRA and this whole launch. And love you all. I'll talk to you all later. Don't hesitate to private message me with any other questions, or put them, actually better yet, put them in the comments on this video. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye. Happy Tuesday.